Hi, my name is Angelica Alberto, and me and my group are going to be presenting The Importance of Being Earnest, which is written by Oscar Wilde. The original play is set in London during the Victorian era. So this is written by Oscar Wilde and directed by Anthony Asquith, who also adapted the screenplay, and it was first performed on February 14th, 1895 at the St. James Theatre in London. The play was initially written in 4 acts, but then it was shortened down to 3, as we see it today. And the total duration of the whole play is an hour and 40 minutes. The plot follows the story of two men, which are Jack, his real name is John, but they call him Jack Worthing, and then Algernon Algie Moncrief. And both of them, for different reasons, created this alter ego named Ernest. Jack was the first person to use this name by creating a false brother, which would serve as his excuse to go to London and disappear for a couple days. But in reality, he would use that brother's name when he was in London. It isn't until Jack tells his best friend, which is Argenal, that he's planning on asking his cousin Wendeling to marry him, that Archie starts feeling very suspicious about Jack's behavior. So Jack ends up coming forward about his alter ego and all this story. The story gets way more entangled when Algernon falls in love with Cecily, which happens to be Jack's ward, and that leads him to pretend to be Ernest, Jack's brother. So that lie goes on until Wendeling and Cecily both notice that they're both going to marry Ernest Worthing, which is a name that doesn't exist. And the funniest part is that at the end, they were both being Ernest, and Jack ended up being quite literally as a name, Ernest. Thank you.
My name is Amani Dor, and today we'll be taking a closer look at the genre that makes up the play The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. Now, what the play is called a comedy of manners, and what this genre tries to do or go for is poke fun at a class or a target, usually those that are rich or upperclassmen in certain societies. And they'll do this by using words which just to make them angry, make them see their ways, or just to get a reaction of them for fun. And one example of this is during the tea scene in the play, where Fairfax and Cardew was seated. And when Cardew asks Fairfax if she wants tea with sugar or not, Fairfax replies with no sugar, please, because it is out of fashion. And Cardew realizes because she says out of fashion because of her upper standing, she goes to oppose this by adding more sugar into her tea and handing it to Fairfax, which in return would make Fairfax angry. And that is how one would use their wits to attack back at the main target. Where the genre originates from is the New Comedy era from ancient Greece, and it is known for the satirical view of Athenian society. However, in England, it is said that Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing is the first comedy of manners, where the main characters are locked in a battle using nothing but words and their general poking fun at each other as their main way of attacking each other. The genre itself was quite popular around the Restoration period, which was 1616 to 1688, and which gained another synonym for the genre called Restoration comedy. And there's not much difference about the two. It's just that Restoration comedy is just for that, for used for that era, and the comedy man is used for the overall general genre. Now, key plays and writers that would define this genre would include The Way of the World by William Congreve, Private Lives by Noel Coward, Misanthrope by Moliere, Pride and Prejudice, which is not a film play, however, is a great example of how the genre could be used in literature as well, and how the book itself would later become a movie. And that just shows how theater can gain its examples from books or other pieces of media as well. And another key play would be, well, the importance of being earnest. And what all these do is explore the genre from multiple angles with different takes, different characters, and but what they all do is perfectly encapsulate what the genre should be about.
My name is Christian Rivera. I'm doing the number three research, the playwright for the group 8 presentation. The first bulletin underneath that, it's give a biography of the playwright. The playwright of the importance of being earnest is Oscar Wilde. He was a renowned Irish playwright, novelist, essayist, and poet born in Dublin, Ireland on October 16th, 1854. He attended Trinity College, Dublin, and later studied on Magdalen College, Oxford. Oscar Wilde was globally known for his wit, confidence, and personality, and also helped shape social commentary in the late Victorian era. Wilde's work were well known for their clever wordplay, satire, and exploration of societal norms. However, Wilde faced a scandalous downfall when his homosexuality became public knowledge, which is illegal at that time. So, because of this, he was accused of gross indecency in 1895 and was sentenced to 2 years of hard labor. After his release, Wilde lived in France under a different name, Sebastian Melmoth, until his death on November 30th in the 1900s at age 46. Despite the tragic end to his life, Oscar Wilde literal works continue to be celebrated for their wit, humor, and social commentary. The second question, why is he or she important to theater history? Oscar Wilde is known for society's new form of comedy, introducing paradoxical and epigrammatic. The second question asks, why is he or she important to theater? Oscar Wilde is known for his society's new form of comedy, introducing paradoxical and epigrammatic wit to stages worldwide, which is different from what typically is shown in the 19th century English theater. Many of his other plays challenged and entertained audiences, criticized Victorian society, uses satire to question the rules of upper classes, and targets hypocrisy. The third question, what were his or her other major plays? He has about 4 other plays that I know of. Some of his famous plays include The Importance of Being Earnest, which pretty much talks about two bachelors creating alternate egos to escape their tiresome lives. Pretty much talking about like Aladdin. That was pretty much the close reference to it. They want to be someone else than who they really are. The second play, An Ideal Husband, pretty much talking about a politician who must stop his wife from finding out that he's built his entire career on selling out political secrets, which sounds pretty interesting. Lady Windermere's Fan, which is a third play, is about a young woman named Lady Windermere who suspects that her husband is having an affair with another woman, but with a mysterious past. And last but not least, The Picture of Dorian Gray. This one talks about a young man who decides to just trade his soul for eternal youth.
Hi, I'm Quinn, and I'll be discussing the performance history of the play. It was first performed in 1895 at the St. James Theatre in London, directed by Oscar Wilde. It starred George Alexander as Jack, Alan Ainsworth as Algernon, Rose Crowe as Lady Bracknell, Irene Vabrew as Gwendolen, Violet Lister as Cecily, and George Kniz as Miss Prism. George Alexander also ran the theatre. The play was not revived until Oscar Wilde's death, as its reputation was damaged after he was investigated and imprisoned for accusations of homosexuality. However, it has had many revivals since then, with the most notable being the 1939, 1982, and 2011 productions. The 1939 version was performed in the Globe Theatre in London. It was directed by John Gielgud, who also starred as Jack. The cast was famous, with Edith Evans as Lady Bracknell, Joyce Carey as Gwendolen, Angela Baddeley as Cecily, and Margaret Rutherford as Miss Prism. Evans is well known for her delivery of the handbag line and would go on to star in the 1952 film adaptation. The 1982 version was in London as well, at the National Theatre. It was directed by Sir Peter Hall, and his direction is said to have been one of the most notable of any of the productions. The cast included Martin Jarvis as Jack, Nigel Havers as Algernon, and Judi Dench as Lady Bracknell. It was revived again in 2011 as a Broadway production based on the 2009 Stratford Shakespeare Festival version. Brian Bedford directed, as well as played Lady Bracknell. David Ver played John, Santina Fanatta played Algernon, Sarah Topham played Gwendolen, and Charlotte Perry played Miss Prism. The play was very successful and was nominated for 3 Tony Awards and released on DVD. It has also been adapted for cinema 3 times. The first was in 1952, directed by Anthony Adquith, who also adapted the screenplay. It stars Michael Redgrave as John, Michael Dennison as Algernon, Edith Evans as Lady Bracknell, Joan Greenwood as Gwendolen, Margaret Rutherford as Miss Prism, and Dorothy Tutton as Cecily. It received BAFTA and Golden Lion nominations. The 1992 version consisted of an all-black cast and took place in the present day. It was directed by Kurt Baker and starred Dale Roach as Jack, Ren T. Brown as Algernon, Chris Calloway as Gwendolen, Lene Chapman as Cecily, and CCH Pounder as Miss Prism. Finally, the 2002 version was directed by Olivia Parker and starred Colin Firth as Jack, Rupert Everett as Algernon, Frances O'Connor as Gwendolen, Reese Witherspoon as Cecily, Judi Dench as Lady Bracknell, and Anna Massey as Miss Prism.
You are my little cousin Cecily, I'm sure.
You are under some strange misapprehension. I am not little. In fact, I believe that I am more than usually tall for my age. But I am your cousin Cecily. You, I see from your card, are Uncle Jack's brother, my cousin Ernest. My wicked cousin Ernest.
Oh, I'm not really wicked at all, Cousin Cecily. You mustn't think I'm wicked.
If you are not, then you have certainly been deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you have not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and being really good all the time. That would be hypocrisy.
Of course, I have been rather reckless.
I'm glad to hear it.
In fact, now you mention the subject, I really have been very bad in my own small way.
I don't think you should be so proud of that, though I'm sure it must have been very pleasant.
It's much pleasanter being here with you.
I can't understand how you're here at all. Uncle Jack won't be back till Monday afternoon.
That is a great disappointment. I'm obliged to go out by the first train on Monday morning. I have a business appointment that I'm anxious to miss.
Couldn't you miss it anywhere but in London?
No, the appointment is in London.
Well, I know, of course, how important it is not to keep a business engagement. Still, I think you had better wait until Uncle Jack arrives. I know he wants to speak to you about your emigrating.
My what?
About your emigrating. He's gone up to buy your outfit.
I certainly wouldn't allow Jack to buy my outfit. He's got absolutely no taste at all in neckties.
I don't think that you will require neckties. Uncle Jack is sending you to Australia.
Australia? I'd sooner die.
Well, he said at dinner on Wednesday night that you would have to choose between this world, the next world, and Australia.
Oh. Well, the reports I have of Australia and the next world are not particularly encouraging. This world is good enough for me, Cousin Cecily.
Yes, but are you good enough for it?
Well, no, I am not that. That is why I would like you to reform me. You might make that your mission, if you don't mind, Cousin Cecily.
I am afraid I have no time this afternoon.
Well, would you mind if I reform myself this afternoon?
It is rather romantic of you, but I think you should try.
I will. I feel better already.
You are looking a little worse.
That's because I'm hungry.
Oh, how thoughtless of me. I should have remembered that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals.
Might I have a buttonhole first? I never have any appetite unless I have a buttonhole first.
A Maréchal?
No, I would sooner have a pink rose.
Why?
Because you are like a pink rose, Cousin Cecily.
I don't think it can be right for you to say such things to me. Miss Prism never talks like that.
Then Miss Prism is a short-sighted old lady. You are the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says that all good looks are a snare.
Then they are a snare that any sensible man would like to be caught in.
Oh? I don't think I should care to catch a sensible man. I wouldn't know what to talk to him about.